Yes or no? That is the question on every Belizean's mind as the April 10th, 2019 referendum draws near to decide whether Belize should take its long-standing dispute with Guatemala to the International Court of Justice for final resolution. It's a historic and important decision that we are all tasked with, and the Bar Association of Belize has added to the national discourse via a recently published legal opinion from Professor Stephen Vassiani, attorney and expert on international law. Ambassador Alexis Rosado, who heads the Referendum Unit and serves as Belize's ambassador to Guatemala, shared with us his initial thoughts on the opinion.
We must commend the Bar Association for commissioning such an important work. The conclusions do not surprise us because we had seen many opinions before. Extensive research and studies have been done not only by Belizean lawyers, by other independent international law experts like Professor Vassiani, and they have pretty much reached the same conclusion. So we welcome it as an addition to the extensive literature we have on the subject.
So what exactly does the 52-page document say?
The opinion does a full analysis of the history and the law, looking at the evidence, looking also at jurisprudence of the International Court of Justice, and how the court would itself look at the dispute should we end up in court. And the conclusion that he arrives at is, in essence, that whereas there is so much of history and so much legal issues to look at, in summary, Belize's case is very strong.
In his conclusion, Professor Stephen Vassiani notes the strengths and possible weaknesses of Belize's case, many of which still cause much concern for voters heading to the polls in April. One such concern that he addresses is that of the validity of the 1859 treaty.
The other point that he says might be a weak point is that Article 7 of the 1859 treaty may be found to not have been fulfilled by the British, in which case then the British would have breached the treaty. And the effect of such termination that Guatemala would have a right to would be then that whatever applied prior to the signature of the treaty would be what would we would revert to. But he had already said that it is the British who owned and had title to Belizean territory prior to the signature of 1859. So then we would just go back to square one, to British ownership. In that case, the boundary would not be affected at all.
But would Belize need to compensate Guatemala for this breach of Article 7?
The remedy would be for Guatemala to go at the British and seek some kind of remedy from them that would be equal to the damage that they would have been done, but by the British. So it would not amount to Belize giving anything to Guatemala, because at the end of the day, the boundaries would not be affected, nor the title of Belize to our territory.
The Sarstoon Island and River have been the center of much controversy as it relates to the Belize-Guatemala dispute in recent years. In his legal opinion, Professor Vassiani also addressed this, encouraging Belize to continue its protest against incidents that occur in the area to prevent any change in its legal status.
Everything that happens in the Sarstoon, that Guatemala shows some kind of aggression, some kind of unfriendly act, some kind of violation of our sovereignty and territorial integrity, not just in the Sarstoon, anywhere in the territory of Belize, we protest immediately. That has never stopped, and it will continue to be done.
Ambassador Rosado says that Belize is not alone in its protests and has had the continued support of the international community on this issue.
When the Africa, Caribbean, Pacific group of countries meet at the foreign ministers level, at the heads of government level, they also put a protest to Guatemala and calling on them to engage with us to develop confidence-building measures on the Sarstoon and to respect the boundary as established in the 1859 treaty. The Commonwealth does it. CARICOM does it. So we're not alone in this. And yes, we will continue protesting, and we feel very strongly that we have crossed all our T's and dotted all our I's when it comes to this issue.
With no certainty of what the Guatemalans will claim if we go to the ICJ, Belizeans are also concerned about possible surprises in litigation. To this, Vassiani says both the British and Guatemala archives must be fully surveyed to avoid such a scenario. Ambassador Rosado says that he is unfazed by this since, along with the Archives Department, in-depth research has been done in archives at home and as far as in Spain.
Extensive and thorough research has been done over the years, for decades. The British, since 1937, first proposed to Guatemala to take this matter to the court. They would not have made such a proposal if they did not have the full evidence on their side. And since then, as you know, we have been dealing with the Guatemalan claim for so long, for decades, for generations. And throughout the period before independence and even after independence, there has been nothing that we do with respect to the Guatemalan claim that has not been supported by legal advice and also by extensive research that we have done in the past and that we continue doing up to today.
For Ambassador Rosado and the government of Belize, this newest legal opinion only solidifies Belize's case.
Even, as I said before, even when he takes a charitable view of Guatemala's position, he finds that they have no chance and there's no possibility that Belize's boundaries could change or that Belize's titles could be questioned at the International Court of Justice.
Vassiani's legal opinion can be found on the bar's website at www.belizebar.bz. For Belize Now, I am Janelle Mencius.